Welcome everyone to the EED webinar number 5 on March 11th. It's called Embodiment and Genuine Presence. We have Jim and Alina joining us. We may have some others joining as we go along. So welcome everyone. This should be 60 minutes. I know, Jim, you have to pop off early. I got lots of information in here. Let's see how far we get with it. I'll try and bulldoze through it, but I'd love your questions and comments along the way. What initially brings you in? What are some of the main things you want to know regarding embodiment and presence?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
And so what I'm fascinated about is, so with the idea of genuine presence, for a time I thought it was just being fully honest and transparent, but sometimes there are times when we shouldn't fully share all the things we may be struggling with internally. So how does one be a genuine presence but also be mindful of being, empathetic to the other person? How much does one reveal of what they're going through, good or bad?
Okay, awesome. That makes me think of something we do in module 3 where we work with layers of relationship. Your masks and boundaries while still being connected to your essence, but then you can choose, like you can filter out, well, how much transparency or what am I revealing here? It's not about being dishonest.
Yeah.
Thought through that. Han, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. I'm waiting. I don't know if she sees me. Okay. Yeah, Alina, did you have something to add as well?
No, but I think Jim, had a very good point, and is. I would like to see it approached.
Okay, I will note that. I don't have my pen and paper in front of me here. Just great, because I will talk about levels of presence, and then masks I was seeing as a whole other thing, and it was going to add more to it. But I'll put it in. I won't have necessarily visuals on what I'm talking about there, but I'll walk you through it. Maren, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, great. How are you? Welcome.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, great. I was just asking each person what's initially bringing you into the call. What are some main questions you'd love to have answered regarding embodiment and presence? Do you have anything that you're coming in?
No, I'm just very excited.
Okay, and it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so then I'll move forward here. What are we discovering? Well, overview of different levels of presence. And I'm thinking also, not just your own presence, but how you're in relationship and what presence that brings in both people, okay? And then congruency. And I'm going to talk about congruency versus authenticity, all right? And what the difference there is. And how both of those things, congruency and presence, how they're going to affect our relationships and our transformational experiences, all right? The experiences can go wide and deep depending on how much presence we have as facilitators, coaches, leaders, because that will also determine the level of presence of your client. They're usually always following our lead, not the other way around, okay? Because we're the ones creating the space. Then I'll walk you through some simple ways to build up resonant impulses and keep the presence genuine, keep expanding the presence, and then anchor those embodied states. So I'll give you some tips on anchoring, things to keep in mind, okay? I doubt I'll have a time to really demo it, but I'll walk you through it, okay? Some of the basics there. And then sometimes you'll run into people that avoid getting in touch with their body or their emotions. They're either fearful or resistant or they even have doubts that it's necessary to access that stuff. So how do you work with that? How do you get them to tap in without hitting them really over the head, or you know, pulling their arm, right? So because everyone has access to their body and their emotional energy, they just may not be aware of it, or they have made up some taboos around it. Okay, so and when we get to that point, I mean, I'd love to hear some of your experiences so that it's directly applicable, or if you have questions there, then I can answer things more specifically. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, feel free to stop me along the way with comments or questions. And if you disagree with anything, tell me. I love those debates. Briefly, and this is for, I know all three of you are already quite familiar with EED and what it does. Those that may be listening to the recording may not. So I'll briefly go through this. EED works in relationships. So it's all about relationship dynamics. So where we come from when we practice EED, we know that everything happens in relationship. Nothing is in isolation. And all relationships will follow behavioral patterns. And we look at those like fractals, meaning a repeating pattern that's happening on the large and the small scale. It's always the same pattern expressing itself on different levels. And it's the pattern that's actually driving the person and the situation or the issue. And so rather than trying to transform the person or trying to make changes to the issue, we look at the pattern and get to the root of it. And then we'll build a resilient space where they can be more fluid and flexible. And then that pattern can reconcile itself or shift itself. Then it automatically transforms the person and the issue on multiple levels. So what we're really working with are fundamental patterns that drive human dynamics. And this applies to coaching and leadership and mediation, facilitation, healing, interpersonal relationships, personal growth. It applies across the board, okay? It's a model that can fit underneath any other methodology that you use. There's a lot of methodologies hint at the dynamics that are at play, but they don't go into the mechanics of it very specifically like EED does, okay? So the three main things we do is we focus on resilience first before we do anything with transformation. So the primary focus is resilience, not transformation. Once resilience is established, transformation organically happens. It naturally happens by itself and it takes care of itself. We're focusing on relationship dynamics because that's what's going to reveal the patterns. So we don't listen to stories and narrative. We let the stories be told, but we're looking at how people are affected by what they're saying. We're looking at what they're doing and how they're behaving, because there's where we're going to access the patterns. And so the way we're going to work with transformation is we get the pattern on the table, we get a resilient space. Now we can shift that core pattern and everything will transform itself. So it's really more of a transmutation. It's like an alchemical process. You're just getting everyone into their purest expression and siphoning off all the distortions, okay? Because a lot of these patterns distort because they're run by fear. Resilience neutralizes the fear. Making sense to you guys? Does that sound like an okay summary? Good. If you have questions or comments, let me know. Okay, so moving on. So this webinar then focuses on a resilient presence and bringing that resilient presence into the relationship. How do you cultivate that? And then how do we embody that resilience? How do we get them to embody that resilience? Whenever we've, say, shifted something and they're in a new mindset, how do we get that anchored so they can return to it again and again? So that's what this embodiment and genuine presence is about. It's a big part of how we work, okay? So what makes your presence genuine? Good question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas off the top of your head? I got stuff I'm going to say. I want to hear what your ideas, thoughts are.
I don't know, when you are aligned in how you feel, how you behave, the gesture, that I call a genuine presence.
Okay. So alignment.
Alignment.
And
yeah.
self-awareness, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, that shouldn't say knowing your questions. That should say knowing your presence. I was putting these together right up until the moment before, so that's something I missed anyways. Okay. Anything else? So alignment, very, very important.
I also feel like there's an element of, are you fully present, or are you allowing your attention to be distracted by multiple things going on? A genuine presence is one that says, I am here for this moment in this relationship, and nothing else is going to take my attention.
Great. So it's a focused awareness and a disciplined awareness as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Anything else to add? Those are really the two main things, and I'll expand on it a little bit more. So I don't like to use the word authenticity because a lot of people have an idea of what authenticity is supposed to look like. And some, there's things floating out there, like in order to be authentic, you have to be wearing your heart in your sleeve, you have to be vulnerable, you have to cry in front of people. And they get these ideas and images of what authenticity looks like. Whereas I could be totally angry at you, shaking my fist, gritting my teeth, snorting through my nostrils, and you'll say, oh, you're not being authentic. I say, yes, I am. It's because they don't include anger in the idea of what authentic looks like. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you should be more understanding. I said, I don't want to understand you. Well, that's not authentic. Yes, it is, because that's exactly
what I feel.
how I feel right now. Okay. It's more about congruency, lining up what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing, what you're saying. So it's thoughts, feelings, emotions, energies, actions, and behaviors, and words, all lining up, as opposed to, oh, I'm so pleased to meet you. Yet inside I'm thinking, not again. I don't want to see you right now. And I'm feeling nervous. And my body is turning away when I say, I'm so glad to see you. Like nothing lines up, okay? So congruency is alignment, and that takes self-awareness in yourself to fully line up. What am I feeling and thinking? Are they two different things, or are they the same? And so, and then when we're facilitating groups or people or individuals or relationships, we want the same thing. We want to start lining things up, and I'll show you easy ways that you can do that. We'll always have conflicting experiences. There's many times we're not aligned or incongruent, but just pick one thing and start lining it up. Don't create a battle of, well, are you happy or are you sad? We'll just pick one, because it's possible that you're both, but we really are only congruent with one thing at a time, and it can shift rapidly. But it's one thing at a time, one moment at a time. So what we want to do is line up the mental, emotional, and physical levels, because when that's lined up, now we can start receiving expanded perceptions, awareness, higher wisdom, intuition, and we can put our attention over there on what's in front of us, instead of being self-conscious of what do I choose in my own experience here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as far as presence goes, we can have a closed bubble or an open bubble. I can be focused on myself, or I can be focused out there and start radiating. When I focus my awareness further away, I can radiate my presence. At the same time, if I'm resilient, that enables me to open where I don't feel under threat. All right. And that gives me a generosity of energy. And how can I do that? When I'm connected to my own essence, my source, my sense of permanence or timelessness, the self beyond the ego, maybe that's a misnomer because there's no really such thing as self when you're essence. It's more a base infinite consciousness or awareness, but it's the you beyond your personality, your beliefs, your personality construct, etc. Okay, that's what I mean by essence or source. Does that sound okay? Does that sound clear, or
Yeah.
do you have a better way to define it? So what's going to increase our presence is when we are connected to our own source or essence. We're not seeking validation or power. We're naturally then resilient, therefore we can naturally open and focus our awareness out there. So when we radiate essence, we radiate truth and acceptance, okay? I'm not including transparency there. We can be transparent, but we also can be so connected to essence, then we can add layers of mask or ego or personality. It might sound like I'm contradicting myself here now, but not really. When we are connected to source and keep the connection, it's like I'm my naked body, but now I'm going to put a shirt on, and then I'm going to put a jacket on, but I still know my essence, okay? If we're only connected to ego and disconnected from essence, now I've become my jacket, okay? Now I've become my shirt. That's the difference. And then if you take away my jacket, suddenly I'm under threat, and I go, oh, no, I need that. That's my identity, okay? No. When we're coming from essence, we can wear any mask we want, and we're still congruent, and we're still connected to source. So we're always radiating levels of truth, and what's coming in, we are coming from a general acceptance. I hope this is making sense, or would you like to make more sense out of it for me?
What exactly do you mean by truth?
Levels of truth, meaning there's no need for me to lie. I'm not lying to myself. I'm not lying to you. I'm resilient enough to speak openly, to speak candidly.
To speak your own truth.
Yeah, to speak my own truth.
Okay.
And there are levels of what truth can be, and we're going to look at that next. Okay, there's more expanded levels of truth, and there's more narrow levels of truth, okay? Depends on my point of view. So that, I just wanted to explain why I didn't put transparency in there, okay? Because here's the fundamental thing. Essence will never absorb a lie. Essence is universal truth. That's it, because it's universal substance, all right? It's source. So, in fact, at essence, everything can be true because it's all potential. But what it will not do is distort or cover up or eliminate or omit, okay? It's more like we start, that's our baseline, and then we can start adding layers and filters of what is being expressed from essence, but it's not hiding, and it's not absorbing fear or emptiness or a lie. Does that help, or am I now talking myself into a corner? Okay. So you're coming from essence, you're opening your presence, and now that influences the presence of others. Why? Because relationships work like mirrors. Presence is actually a conscious choice. You can choose to connect or disconnect. You can choose to open or close. We have those freedoms. So we're not calling it good or bad, okay? If you have a closed, disconnected presence, then probably the person in front of you is going to mirror that automatically, okay? Jim said he had to leave to go teach a lesson, so that's why he dropped out. But he'll hear the recording. And we miss you already, Jim. So how does this work? Well, okay, so what are we doing then? Whether we coach, lead, mediate, we need to work on our own presence first, because that's then going to determine what happens out there in the space with the clients. And so if we know that our presence influences the presence of others, if we want to build resilience, then we come from a resilient place and we radiate that out, and automatically they start following suit. If we get upset by resistance and start resisting the process ourselves, guess what? Everyone out there is gonna start feeling resistant, fearful, and rebellious. So the magic of EED is you're really the source of everything. That doesn't mean you're a god. That's nothing to do with ego. It just means if you intend to transform a space, then come from yourself first, open your presence, create the resilience in the relationship and in the space, and everything follows. And you have the choice to open and close that space and open and close the access to resilience. Because you're going to mirror them and they're going to mirror you. The phenomenon is who has the strongest presence. That's where the relationship goes. So even if you have a group that's resisting and fighting you, as soon as you drop congruently and radiate that, and we'll show you some ways how. And we spend 3 modules training you on this. The group calms down, okay? Unconsciously. And then you find openings and then you work with them. All right. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years and it works every time. And yes, I can meet really strong resistance and I'm willing to fight head on with the resistance. And then I'm also willing to completely let it go. It depends on my intention in the transformational process. Do we need to experience some resistance for a while? And then we can let it go.
When will you use the resistance of the client purposely, intently?
I'm going to bring that in the next webinar. The next webinar,
okay.
March 25th, is the art of releasing resistance. So I'm going to talk about how do you get in direct relationship with resistance, because there's a time and place to do that. What I'll say as a short answer is, if you keep pushing back against resistance, trying to eliminate it or avoid it, it pushes back on you harder. So resistance does need to be expressed sometimes. It needs to cycle itself through. It needs to be ventilated. And you can still work with that with an open, resilient presence. And it will cycle out faster and cleaner that way. And then it will dissipate much more efficiently. Okay. Maybe we can get back to that a little bit later, but this might help make more sense. I know you've maybe seen this diagram before. Yeah. Those watching the recording probably haven't, but here's some different levels of truth and presence. So if I'm stuck in my own bubble, this is closed, and I'm driven by my own patterns, my beliefs, and everything is comparing back to what do I know, what do I believe, what do I know, what do I believe, and I accept and reject according to that, I'm going to close my bubble and I'm really not experiencing anything further than the end of my nose. Because anything further than that, it's like a projection on a screen in front of me. It's an image that I'm interpreting, okay? I see you, but I don't experience you. I'm experiencing my perception of you. That's why I've got that little red figure there. Like, you know, I'm really in relationship to myself and my stories. It's a singular point of view, a singular truth. When I come into relationship like that and somebody else comes into relationship like that, it can create conflict, opposition, because the truths don't match up. For each person, what they feel feels true, but they're expecting the other person to match their truth. And if it doesn't match, they're opposing it, fighting it, or trying to conquer it, or trying to let themselves get absorbed in the other truth so that there's agreement or consensus. Okay, so this is why trying to transform things on this level won't work, because everyone is actually very rigid. Okay, and this is where we feel win, lose, compromise, or we have to sacrifice or conquer. Okay, if we drop into the space where truth becomes more fluid, meaning opposites can become more complementary, I'm not so stuck in my identity, I'm willing to be influenced, I'm coming from more acceptance. Now you've got a flow of truth where you can really experience each other, and this is where you get increased presence. And this is where you are influencing and being influenced, because you're not trying to impress your stories and beliefs onto the other person. You're willing to take in their reality while expressing your reality. Is this making sense? It's sort of like a circular motion. And this is a bubble of co-creation now. This is expanded presence. And this is where we are with EED as a practitioner. This is where ideally we are as coaches, leaders, and mediators. And like I said, relationships work like mirrors. Your client might be up here in their story. When you stand firmly in this open bubble, they drop. They might pop back out, and then you might pop back out with them, but you have the discipline and the awareness to drop back down, and then they drop back down. So throughout life, we're always toggling between game and dream, game and dream. And then there are ways where we can drop even further, where we completely let go of a sense of identity and really get in touch with our essence or source. And this will create feelings of unity where everything is true, all potential. This is unified truth. This is where paradox can be reconciled. And this is almost like source code programming where anything is possible. And then we can, from there, start reconstructing ourselves and shifting our games and shifting our stories. Meaning this is where the level where we can shift all the patterns, okay? This dream place is the resilient space. We drop a little further, and that's where we get the root of all our patterns. And we can shift them. Presence is very important to direct and control where we are in the relationship itself, okay? And then the embodiment part is how do we maintain a connection to source when we move up into these other levels of story and game? We're not trying to eliminate them, but we're trying to maintain a connection to the essence of source and allow ourselves to be in opposition, allow ourselves to be fluid, allow ourselves to have stories, but we're not so rigidly attached. We have a freedom of movement between all these levels. This is what enables us to evolve. How are you doing with this information? It's okay? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So when we do EED trainings, we're really training you how to be in this space. And I'm going to now walk you through a few ways to get in there. Okay. So yeah, we have a rigid presence when we're in story and game because we're in a rigid closed space with ourselves and each other. We have a fluid presence when we drop into dream and source. And these are the levels where we can do the most transformation, or where the transformation will work and it will sustain, okay? By the way, another way to describe story and game is it's a conditional space. It's all about rules and conditions, okay? If this, then that. Dream and source is much more unconditional. Why? Because there is a baseline of acceptance happening. In story and game, there is some acceptance, but then there's non-acceptance. This is where rejection comes in, okay? In dream and source, everything's workable, everything's possible, okay? And that's where we find our resilience. So how do we close our bubble? It's when we act from judgment. The more I act, I'm in relationship with the image of the world, the image of you, the less I'm actually interacting with the truth of you, okay? So I'm just acting upon my thoughts and ideas of you, okay? That's what's gonna limit my presence. That's what limits the presence of others, okay? How does that affect you as a coach or a facilitator? Well, if your client starts pulling you into a game, they're closing their presence, you're closing your presence, you're starting to act upon judgments of them, they're projecting judgments on you, they're going to put you in a role. And it could be they need you to be the expert or the guru, or you need to be the expert or the guru, or you need to save them, or they feel they need to be rescued, or they want to be fixed, or you want to help. What you're really doing then is starting to take over their work. you're starting to try and manipulate their presence with your presence, or they're asking you to manipulate them. I know that's a strong word, manipulate, but you're not, when you start moving into helper, guru, or savior mode, you're cutting off their access to their own source, and they're using you as the source, giving you all the power. Okay, so then you're taking on all the responsibility as well. And it's going to be limited presence because you're actually acting from judgment of the client. If you drop into that dream space, you're a clean facilitator, and you're cultivating the resilience in the other person. They do not need a guru, helper, or a savior if they're in a resilient space, because they're connecting to their own source. They can be their own guru, helper, or savior. And this is ideally what we're doing is, for whatever you're facilitating, whether as a leader, mediator, coach, or a trainer, or a consultant, you're coming from this clean space where you're in constant flow, open presence with everybody you're working with. They, in their turn, are in tune with themselves, and they're flowing as well. And this will facilitate a much cleaner transformation. Again, another way to look at your presence. So when presence closes, you fall into these outside roles. You can choose that, but a lot of people just get stuck in those roles, okay? EED is training you how to move back and forth. Sometimes these roles are useful, but most of the time you're here. Any questions on that? It's just another way to look at how your presence affects the process of transformation.
Could you maybe make an example of a client and coach like conversation where they drop into, let's say, helper and fixer, for example?
Yeah, okay, so client calls you up, you're the coach, the client calls you up and they say, oh my God, I'm in a crisis. And this is happening and that's happening, and they could be crying and I don't know what to do and I really need you. Can you help me sort this out? Emergency session. I'm putting this to extreme. Now, immediately you're going to have feelings of, could be empathy, sympathy. When they start crying, you may want to reach out, and they're going to act like, I'm drowning, I don't know what to do. I need you. I need you to save me, rescue me. I need you to help me and fix this situation. I need you to advise and consult on what I can do. Do you understand? They're putting all their resources on you. Or you may naturally feel that. I really want to reach out. I don't want them to cry and feel so bad. I really don't want them to suffer in this confusion, right? What can I do to help or fix? What can I do to advise them, or what can I do to save them? That's a very human thing. But the point is, it won't create any kind of a deeper transformation in the person, because they're rejecting the circumstances, buying into fear and reactivity, and they're not facing what's being confronted or presented to them. And the idea of transformation here is to find the resilience within ourselves to deal with the situation instead of putting band-aids on it. Because when we're in these outside roles, we're just going to do some quick fixes and band-aids, but we're not learning anything from it. We're just rearranging the mess, and it's still on the level of the problem. All right. A transformation takes place when they can, despite fear, confusion, find the resilience in themselves to be in true relationship with what's going on, the disaster, the crisis, and work it through with some levels of acceptance, because from a level of acceptance, they'll find the creativity and the hidden strengths in themselves to create something. And that's transformative. And even to face failure from resilience, they can learn from the failure instead of feeling crushed and victimized, because they're not learning anything when they're feeling crushed and victimized. Is this making sense? Okay, that's why it's so important to be in the clean space, because you allow them to have their experience, you allow them to be in their situation, and you're focusing on constantly reconnecting them to resilience and creativity while they have their experience, instead of pulling yourself out, pulling them out, and saying, let's just get this wrapped up nice and clean so we can all move on. Nothing is learned at that point. So when you're in this clean space, you allow people to have their circumstances and their experiences. You allow yourself to feel the compassion, but you're not being manipulated into rescuing, saving, or advising, or helping, or fixing, because it could take away from the golden learning experience that is being presented. How are you guys doing with this? Does that help answer your question more? Okay. Okay, so there. Let's say we've got two people starting with their closed bubble. They're each acting from judgments of each other, and they feel right in their judgments, okay? You're too short, that bothers me. I wish you were taller, okay? Or, you know, I don't like the politics, or you offended me in what you said. Okay, so now I'm acting from judgment. You're a bad person, or you're not a right person, or I don't agree, okay? Now, we can have those judgments, but if we keep acting from the judgment, we're gonna get nowhere. We're just gonna always be in opposition and looking to conquer each other or look for consensus and the presence. We don't reach people with our presence. So the first thing is to do is move from judgment back to neutral, back to acceptance. That means you are who you are. You've said what you've said, you've done what you've done. It is what it is. My judgment says I don't like it, or I wish it could be different. But for now, it is what it is. That means I'm not acting from the judgment. I wish you were taller. Well, you're short, or that's your size, and that's it. Okay? As soon as I can come to a little bit of acceptance of it, I start to calm down. And what happens is I start to open my bubble a little bit, because I'm not so concerned with, I'm not in relationship necessarily with my image of you anymore. I'm starting to reach over and focus on you, who you are, with fascination, okay? Meaning, I want to learn, I want to know. I'm putting my whole self in there, okay? So the key to opening your own bubble is through acceptance and fascination, despite what is in front of you. And it does take resilience to open that bubble, because you'll feel like, ooh, I'm putting myself at risk. Ooh, I'm feeling vulnerable here. I've never looked at this person in their eyes before because I've always been judging them so harshly, or they've been judging me so harshly. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Then this is the key, is then you're fascinated. Oh, well, their eyes are softening. Actually, I'm seeing they're quite an intelligent person. You can take that back in and start to appreciate what's in front of you. That starts opening the circle, the cycle. That's when they start mirroring you. Once your bubble is open, and you're genuinely, truly fascinated and taking something back in that you are appreciating, they relax, calm down, and open their bubble. Then you can begin enjoying each other. And now you're in an expanded presence. And this is actually a more truthful presence. Okay, this is where you're dropping into that dream where now things are complementary. Our politics may be different, but we're both human beings. We both breathe. We're both passionate. We have different points of view, yet I can start listening and appreciating your point of view. You start listening and appreciating my point of view. Okay, as we enter this space, and we can now start to enjoy the debate or enjoy each other. Now we can engage truly in relationship with each other and start affecting each other so that we're participating, not conquering each other, but moving into co-creation. Now we're both more resilient. Now we're both in an expanded space. This is the expanded presence. Now we're both more fluid. Okay? Thoughts, comments, questions here? I know you may have seen this before, but what's it like to see it again in terms of presence, opening your presence, which opens their presence?
I do have a question. Would you say that if you open up your bubble, the bubble of the other person always will open up as well?
Yes, and then it can close just as quickly.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to work moment by moment by moment. Remember, relationships work like mirrors. So here you are, boom, 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 opposition, opposition. Then you, with a little bit of acceptance and fascination, you drop, you open, you appreciate, enjoy, now they're here. Then, oh, that's freaky, and they close. You might close again too. The point is you keep returning. The more you return into this open space, the more they return, the longer they stay. And in fact, when working with highly resistant people, you could spend just your time going back and forth, and eventually they will start staying in that space. And that's called building trust. They're not trusting you, they're enjoying the space where they're not feeling the judgments. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And you're proving it because you're coming from acceptance. You're accepting that they're upset with you. You're accepting that they're afraid. You're accepting that they're sad. You're not trying to fix it, because as soon as you try to fix it or rescue it, it's taking away their power and it's taking away their resilience, and then they can close back up. Does that make sense? You let them be who they are, have their experience. You can appreciate it, and you can start sending back energy. And this becomes co-creation. You're influencing each other, okay? Add to that, you can be anchored in your own source. It doesn't mean you're a doormat getting stepped upon. It doesn't mean that you're letting go of your total sense of self. It just means you're inviting in a larger reality. Is that making sense? Okay. And by the way, when I lead groups, and sometimes I've run into really high resistance, and I'll get caught up in it, and I'll start trying to fix it naturally. I'll start trying to fight it naturally. As soon as I make that conscious choice of, all right, I accept it. I accept how I feel about this group. I accept how I feel about myself. I accept what's happening. I accept that this whole training could be a disaster. Something shifts and opens in myself, and I drop, and I become resilient. And then I stay there, I anchor myself, and then suddenly I start noticing, it's almost like I can literally see people start dropping in the group. Their behaviors start changing, and I maintain, and I catch it, and I maintain. And then everything starts to shift. And the resistance starts to naturally neutralize itself. And it's really coming from my presence. It's not an egotistical thing to say. Because I've tested this, where the longer I'm staying rigid myself, the more we're exaggerating and prolonging the suffering of everyone. As soon as I've made a shift, I see that ripple effect. And I guess the only way I could explain it is, well, nobody's going to know better. If I'm in charge of the process, I'm aware of where I can take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it does start from me. And this is in any conflict. It does start from you. Don't wait for the other to open their bubble. They won't. They just won't, because they don't have to. Does that make sense? Opening your bubble may feel counterintuitive, but that is the invitation for them to open. And you do not need to obligate them to open, otherwise you're coming from here. Oh, I've opened my bubble, why aren't you opening yours? Well, I've just closed mine by saying that. Do you understand? It's not fair. I'm open, why aren't you? I'm authentic, why aren't you? No, I'm actually not being authentic and I'm not being open. I'm closed. I'm making it conditional. I'm playing a game now. Okay. Is that clear for everyone?
Mhm.
Screen capture that and follow those 8 stages of fascination or of relationship to cultivate more presence. That in itself will make a huge difference. Acceptance and fascination. Okay. So this is then about embodiment. I know I'm running good on time. Basically, what we're working with is things will spark up. We've got resonance, ideas, we've got insights, we've got feelings. So we want to catch those sparks and cultivate them, build them so that with a resilient presence, so that people can start dropping into a deeper self, into their own essence, and embody an expanded experience of themselves. So whatever sparks up, we want to connect them with it, even if it's a spark of anger or a spark of sadness or a new idea. And what I mean is you want that they don't need to know what it is yet. They just need to create this flow of give and receive between whatever just happened. Maybe they have a flash of anger with a fist, or they have a little panic of fear. Great. What's it like to just connect with putting your hand on the chest and breathing like that? What is it giving you? How is it to do that? Just create a connection to it. Then they can start to discover what it is, start mining for resources, strengths, or learn more. A lot of times when something sparks up, they say, what is it? What does it mean? What can you learn from it? I don't know because I haven't connected to it, okay? So, and this is what will build us towards embodiment. When something, an impulse or anything happens, we want to connect with it first, put our attention on it, start experiencing it. Then we can discover what it is and learn more about it, how it's a resource. Then we can find its full expression in our whole body, in our emotions, and in our mind, and anchor that. Now we have ownership. And then that will bring a new spark. And then we build relationship to that, discover it, anchor it. And that's how you build resonance. That's how you build a new mindset, a new resonant state of being, build resilience. That's how you can build a vision. You keep collecting these sparks and build them up like layers upon layers, okay, into a fully embodied state. Then you can take action and apply that new mindset, new energy, new resonance, create some reinforcement so they can sustain it themselves, put them into action that they're invested in because they're using this new resonant state or mindset to create new things. That's what's enabling them to take action. It's the resonant state or the resilient state. Are you guys doing this? That's your basic sequence of transformations. Build impulses in a resilient space, and then you can take action on it once it's embodied. So how do you embody? Well, while we're connecting with sparks, building them up, we want to create a congruency. So it's not just all head stuff. We don't want to just work with our thoughts, beliefs, perceptions, or observations, or imagination. We want to balance that with, for every thought or belief, there's a feeling, there's an emotion. For every point of view or perception, there's an energy that we use. There's physicality. We can observe physicality, but we need to experience our physicality. We need to move. We need to discover our posture and our gestures. And we need to use all 5 senses. What I see and hear will affect my awareness, but it can also affect what I'm feeling and experiencing. And that brings in tastes and smells and sensations. That's what's going to create that alignment, is if we bounce back and forth. And that's part of our EED model, is to keep counterbalancing awareness and experience. And that's going to create expanded presence that is congruent. So if I'm thinking a sad thought, how am I affected in physically? What's my posture? How does that affect the energy in my body? How does that affect the sensations? Now, how is it affecting back to my thoughts? And we make a closed loop. Making sense?
Yeah.
So in presence is not just a state of mind. It's not just an emotion. It's mind and emotion and physicality all together. Okay? Same with acceptance. You're going to be aware of the acceptance and experience the acceptance. Okay? So when we want to embody, we're looking at, once we've expanded something they're connected to, we want to find what is the resource here? What's the strength? How does that affect their well-being? You can move into possibilities and vision and wisdom and learning and all of that. But what's most important is, what's the strength and well-being? Then you can start anchoring it where they have ownership. They personalize what that is. So some ways to embody and anchor is, you want to use the 5 senses together. What are the key features of their experience? Like key posture, key center of gravity, the key sensation. Like, oh, I'm feeling confident. My shoulders are wide. I'm breathing deeply. And I feel strength and confidence and calm inside me. And what are your thoughts? Well, I have clarity. Everything feels possible. I see everything. I can respond quickly. Oh, notice how you're moving your hands back and forth. Oh, yeah. I'm dancing on my feet. We go back and forth, right, with awareness experience. And we're looking for what are key features they can recognize so they can reproduce the experience again. And it's fully congruent, okay? What are they taking away from it? What does that reinforce in them? What's the key quality here? And key quality physically or energetically? So this expand and embody is having them connect and build a resonant state. And you want to link the physical, emotional, and mental levels together. And you want to condense or distill that into, all right, let's localize a body center. Where is the source of this experience? Maybe it's the center of their chest. Maybe it's their fist. Maybe it's the legs or hips. And then for them to name, what is the resource, the strength, or the quality? It could be confidence. It could be joy, happiness, freedom, flexibility, whatever, and then have them feel the sensations of that. Then they can gather that all together with a key word or a phrase, image, sound, gesture, just something to put a label on the button, because what you're establishing is a trigger. When they fully embody something from enjoyment and well-being, what does it give me? Then we can condense it into, okay, I know what this is. I know its key features. I'm going to call that my, I don't know, Rocky Balboa, the boxer. It's a name, right? And already they got a gesture with a word, a phrase, it goes along with it. Now, to further anchor, you want them to create investment in this resonant state. What does this bring you? What is possible from this resonant state? What are you capable of? So how can you apply it, right? What's the benefit it'll bring back, right? And you have them speak from the resonant state while they build this desire and investment into using it and what it can bring back to them. Again, it's a give and receive. That's going to further anchor. And then now they have reasons to use it, to work on it, and you can take them into action. Okay. Martin had to leave, but she'll get the recording. Now, something we teach in EED, I don't really have time to go through the specifics here, is you can take that whole resonant state and start to build it up in the person, but you can also have them transfer that energy into an object or magnetize the object, all right? So you build high resonance, then have them come into contact with the object Keep building the investment, the desire. And you can do this like 3, 4, 5 times where they come in contact with the object. It starts to take the same energy pattern as that resonant state, so that the next time they pick up the object, immediately they're triggered back into that resonant state. That's a way to further reinforce. You don't need to do it, but it can be done. The only thing you do not do is you first build up resonance, then grab the object while they're high. Then short spurts, maybe 30 seconds, a minute, that's it. Then have them let go of the object, let go of the resonant state. Call it back, build up the high energy, grab the object, repeat that about 3, 4, 5 times and or more, so that from a neutral place, when they pick up the object, it's already active. Never program the fear, doubt, or resistance in with it. You want to keep the energy pure. So if they start doubting themselves, immediately let go of the object and collapse the resonance. Let them ventilate their fear or their doubt, come back to neutral, and then restart. So that's a further thing you can do with embodiment. Embodying a state, a resonant state, is you can also magnetize an object. So like I said, don't include fear, doubt, or resistance when anchoring anything. Just stop and reset. You might have to let them ventilate or process a little bit more what they fear, but then return them to the resonance or return them to the resilience. So while you're building resonance and resilience, that's why it's important to get a little bit of embodiment in place, some key features, because those are triggers. There might be a key phrase or key word that immediately brings them back. Okay? So if they're resisting emotions, like, oh, no, I don't go into feelings, I don't do feelings. Let them experience their body, their posture, their physicality, their gravity, movement. Then they can start to sense energy. Then they'll discover what emotion they're feeling. A lot of times, emotion is just attached to judgment. I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't feel that. When we go into pure energy and take the judgment away and just go into what's the pure sensation of it? I'm angry, my heart's beating fast, I feel warm. They'll connect easier with their heartbeat and their body temperature than they will with the idea of warmth. Okay. Then they can start to discover what's the pure energy in the emotion. Then they'll realize, oh, I am having an emotion. They'll have an easier time. So it's important to release feelings of fear, judgment, or feeling this is appropriate, inappropriate, before connecting with an energy, because they're not actually connecting with the energy, they're connecting to the fear of it or the judgment of it. The great thing I'll do or say is, well, it's here, it is what it is. And doesn't hurt me, doesn't harm me if you feel that or express that or get angry. It's okay here. Well, it's not okay for me at home, but you're not at home. You're here with me. So give them some reassurance or appeal to their resilience, or appeal to them that it's natural and normal to feel whatever they're feeling. And it doesn't affect them as being a good or a bad person. You could say the experience is neither good nor bad. It's just here. With being willing to explore what it has to offer. Then they may calm down more. And again, bring them into pure energies and sensations as opposed to ideas around the emotions or the energies of the body, whatever the body's offering. So if they're having an experience, you can start moving their awareness around. Like, oh, I feel angry. Where is that? Well, it's in my fist. Great. Move all the awareness into the fist. Or drop, oh, I feel butterflies in my stomach. Okay, drop all your awareness, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears, everything down into the stomach. Live and breathe as if you're inside that stomach. What's it like to experience the butterflies? then they won't be observing themselves. They will be reporting from inside themselves, directly from the experience. A lot of people will observe themselves and say, oh, I'm angry, and that's, I think how I feel, and what I think that's what it is. No, they need to go inside it and report from directly inside it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going fast because I know time, but any comments or questions here so far?
It's okay.
Okay. Now, yeah, people might be observing themselves, but when they actually drop their awareness into the source of their experience, when you take them there, then have them start listening to their own body. Let the experience tell them what the wisdom is, what the ideas are, instead of them trying to guess or process, right? Sit in it, let the awareness go down there. And then they can let that experience rise up into their head. Okay, so that the head is more receptive to the experience. It'll receive information from the emotional or energetic experience or body experience, as opposed to trying to control it or observe it or second guess it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That might be a little weird for people, but when you really drop their awareness into their experience, let them have the experience, let them enjoy what they're experiencing, then things start to rise up and they get insights, intuitions, new ideas, new inspirations, and let them enter the head. So let the head be receptive. You know, you could say, hey, okay, so what's going on down there? Allow it to send itself up, or what's it like to receive all that good information or welcome it with a friendly attitude, for example. Sometimes you really got to slow down the rhythm and let them, they don't have to close their eyes or anything. It's just, before I make anything up, I'm going to experience it and see what that brings me. What's now the new thought or idea that comes with the experience. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't put pressure on people to feel things. They feel what they feel. I've had, corporate clients that say, oh, I don't do emotions. I say, really? So what would happen if I walked across the room and slapped you across the face? Would you react? Because I'd punch you. Oh, when you punch, what goes along with that? Well, I'm pissed off. So then you do feel things, right? Yeah, but I don't mix that with my business. Well, it certainly made you want to jump up and act fast. That could be valuable for business, those emotional drives, but you don't have to drive your decisions. We can marry the drive of the emotions with the logic of the thoughts. You just have to make logical sense that the head takes care of navigating things, processing things. The emotions take care of the drive, the action, and feelings of connection. So we can marry that all together. We all naturally feel, and all those feelings have information. And like, I can ask a corporate guy, oh yeah, I don't use my body. My body doesn't have wisdom. Really? Well, how do you make a split-second decision? From my gut. I thought you said you didn't use your body.
Yeah.
Well, I have gut instincts. Is that really coming from my head? I don't know. But that's what we're training. We'll get in touch with our gut instincts when we start putting focus on what the body's doing. Okay? So sometimes it's just a simple training. Making logical sense of how everything connects together, coming from everything is normal, everything is natural, and everything brings value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What made you laugh there, Alina?
I was picturing the. Okay, I was almost looking on the screen.
Yeah. And if you've got high performance, high powered people, they do use all their power centers and body centers currently. They just may not be aware that they're
Exactly.
really accessing it because it's so second nature to them. You just say, hey, look, I'm just pulling things apart, slowing it down, so you're far more conscious of how you're actually functioning here. Okay. When an emotion is coming up, don't say to a client, make it bigger. Don't say make it stronger, because then they start to manufacture it and it won't be natural anymore. Rather, have them focus their awareness on what they're experiencing in the emotion. Pinpoint the focus, it'll naturally amplify the experience, okay? Instead of saying make the experience bigger, put more focus, isolated focus on the experience, and it will naturally amplify. Okay, and allow them to feel affected by whatever the experience is or whatever the trigger was. Okay, it's another way to amplify the experience is put focus on the trigger and let them be affected. For you, when you're moving them into energies, especially if they're still a bit resistant to using their body or feeling into their sensations and emotions, feel it with them, mirror and amplify their physicality. Okay, some people aren't very self-expressed, right? They might do a gesture and then say, hey, do it again, and they'll do it a lot less. Do it with them again and again, so they can, you can exaggerate physical gestures. That's fine to amplify. Okay. That'll bring them more in touch with the feelings that go along with it. Because it's, the more we exaggerate physical gestures, the less we get in our head and the more connected we get to
body. Yeah.
Okay, so speed it up, make it bigger physically, and then keep asking, what's the sensation now? Now what's the energy? Now, and speed on your part has them not think. You really need to drop them into the body, rapid fire questions, no time to answer. They have to answer from their instincts, okay? That works too. But do it with them. It's a way of championing them in it, accepting them. They don't feel so silly, and they follow your lead. And then once they get in a rhythm, you can start backing off and let them have it themselves, okay? But they will naturally follow, and they will start naturally flowing. Any questions on that? That's helpful for anchoring and embodying, okay?
Yeah, okay.
So for presence, keep putting your awareness over there, not bouncing from your own judgment, but put it over there and cultivate basic acceptance of whatever is in front of you. Just because your client didn't answer the question the way you thought they would, right? Doesn't mean something went wrong. Just go with where they're going, okay? You can't change their direction until you actually accept their direction, okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then keep coming from fascination. It calms you down. It starts calming them down. Everything you create, and this is from our last webinar too, every question you ask, it's created from what's happening over there. It's not happening from what you think should be going on, because then you're closing your presence. You're closing your connection. And you're creating, when you're looking at what's happening over there, you're looking at what's happening in the body, what's happening mentally, what's happening energetically, what's happening emotionally. You can create from all of that and start pulling it all together. For anything that sparks up, feed that impulse, get connection and discovery and embodiment, but remember to bring awareness and experience together. So if something sparks up, get them connecting to it. Once the connection's there, they can start voicing what's available in it, and then they can start fully embodying it. But always bouncing back and forth between awareness and experience. That's our basic EED model, to build impulses.
Yeah.
And we mentioned it. So in order to amplify an experience, you need to focus the awareness. It's the awareness that amplifies the experience. It's not about trying to manipulate the experience or manufacture it. Okay? Then start moving their center of awareness around their body. That also helps with embodiment, but also listening to body wisdom. I move my brain down into my heart, and I can be still there. Let things bubble up, welcome it. I can let the body speak. I can let the heart speak. The mind sometimes works very, very fast. The body can work fast too. But you have to slow the mind down a little bit for it to be able to be receptive and listen, because it tries to process things immediately. Don't let it process. Let things come into the mind instead of the mind trying to send and control. Okay? It's receptivity. And that's how we bring out body wisdom in somatic experiences. When you're getting something embodied and you want to do a simple anchoring, have them identify a body center. Where's the resonance most activated or concentrated? What's the sensation of it? Maybe it's electric, maybe it's liquidy, maybe it's warm or cool. What's the basic strength or resource in there? Could be confidence, peace, calm, joy, motivation, doesn't matter. And then what does that bring back to them? What are they investing in by using that state? Okay. Body center, sensation, resource, and then some investment. And that will be anchored. Put a name on it so they have a short form to capture or call it up again. And again, for whatever you're doing, when you want to bring your clients into their emotional life or body experiences, use your own body. Put the feeling into your voice, right? So access your voice, your feelings with the voice, match and mirror. And embodiment is all about physicality and movement. So do it, don't say it. Do it, don't talk about it. Do. It's all about action, okay? Oh, I wish I could jump around. Jump around. Let's start jumping, okay? Now what do we get from the jump? We can't talk about it, we gotta do it. So I should have put that in the slide. Just do it. What are you taking? Oh, no, wait, yeah. And then to stay clean with presence, to be genuine, it's just to be resilient with acceptance and enjoyment and be in response to everything instead of trying to control everything, all right? When we're in a resilient space of expanded presence, it's an act of co-creation. It's not a solution. And that's how you stay in that king facilitator space instead of deviating over to the savior, the guru, or the helper fixer. What do you take away, Alina?
I don't have something specific. I really wanted to review, because I've been once, I wanted a new run through the whole stuff, and is very much connected anyway with what we've been discussing yesterday. Yeah.
In our community.
So yes, yeah.
What has been either a good reminder for you or something quite helpful that you can use going forward?
The relationship, I mean, that one should work awareness and experience, as a pair. And that was also from yesterday, and today again I had the same reminder. This is if some, I have to say something, very short.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay, yeah. That is the key. That for anyone listening, the first thing I recommend is work on those 8 stages and really just focus on, use easy stuff, use easy material, recognize, accept, and then fascination. The rest will start coming naturally. You'll naturally start appreciating and enjoying, but you'll feel that opening happen in yourself, okay? Start with easy things. Start with things that you can already quite naturally accept, and then move into the fascination. And then start looking around and noticing if you're judging and resisting something. Come back to it. What's it like? What does it demand of me to come back and just find some simple acceptance? It doesn't have to be 100%. It doesn't have to be unconditional, but 1% is good enough to start. Because from 1% acceptance, you'll get a little bit of fascination. The fascination is going to build more acceptance. It goes back and forth on each other. Then you start discovering some appreciation. That's going to build more fascination and acceptance. It all amplifies with each stage, okay? The next stage amplifies the previous stage, right? As you move down the line. If you find that, oh, I'm not enjoying this, then stop, reset, recognize what's happening. Oh, okay, there's a judgment. Okay, now I'll go back and okay, it is what it is. You keep resetting and starting from zero, and until you naturally find yourself moving through those 8 phases. Don't force it. Because if you're not able to stay in a phase like enjoyment or appreciation or participation or whatever, it's because there's you've lost the acceptance to a certain degree. That's it. No shame. Just go back. Okay, and that you could spend a few days, a few weeks doing. And already it's going to shift relationships. You'll start to feel the difference. And you'll start to feel the difference between opening and closing the bubble, right? And then there's other webinars and stuff, or come and take the course. We work on the resilience. We work on all these embodiment techniques. But the most important thing is that self-awareness of, is my attention over there, or is it inside me? Is it open or is it closed? Okay. And we need this freedom to go back and forth. Okay. A lot of times we're just always stuck here and we don't realize it. You had questions around resistance. That's the whole theme of the next webinar, which is on March 25th, the art of releasing resistance. So we're going to look at the nature of resistance and then how to neutralize it. And how you can convert resistance into resilience. Because resistance and resilience are like 2 sides of the coin. And yeah, our next modules, I didn't get fully update this slide, but our next modules are going to be in Munich on April 24th and Berlin on June 12th. Okay, we've had to postpone our March course in Frankfurt and Munich because of all this stuff going on, the craziness going on with the Corona thing. Yeah, so we're moving everything to April and June. But all our webinars, because they're online, they're always going to go. So March 25th.
Okay.
And then feel free to contact us at EE Dynamics on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Visit the website, www.essence-dynamics.com. And you can email me at info@essence-dynamics.com. So thank you so much, everyone, and feel free to share this video with you. And thank you again, Alina. It's always a pleasure to see you. And thank you, everyone, for listening to our recording. And we hope that you'll join next time.